Friends, we can all see that many white bloggers have millions of followers. Please support me too, because my followers are still few. Black bloggers also deserve to be famous. My friends, let's unite and lift each other up. Please press subscribe button and like. I returned home from work one evening, the sun dipping low in the sky, casting long shadows across my driveway. As I pulled in, I noticed a sleek black sedan parked where my truck usually sat. My first thought was that I must be imagining things. Who would park in someone else's driveway without permission? I sat in my truck, bewildered, staring at the car that looked far too comfortable in my space. After a moment of hesitation, I parked on the curb and stepped out, hoping to find a note on the windshield explaining this bizarre situation. Nothing. Just a shiny sedan, bold and brazen. I decided to ask my neighbors if they knew anything. Maybe someone had a guest who parked incorrectly. When I knocked on the door of my neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, she leaned in closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "That's Karen's car," she said, her eyes wide with disbelief. Karen, the self-proclaimed queen of the Homeowners Association, was notorious for her overbearing rules and relentless fines. She had once fined me for leaving my trash cans out too long, and had even sent me notices about my choice of lawn ornaments. Fueled by anger, I marched over Karen's house, my footsteps heavy with determination. I knocked hard on her door, and she opened it slowly, a smug smile plastered on her face, as if she had been expecting me. "Yes?" she asked, her voice dripping with false sweetness. I pointed toward the car. "Is that yours?" Her smile widened, and she raised an eyebrow, a clear challenge in her expression. "My driveway is full. I have a guest. Where else was I supposed to park?" I couldn't believe her audacity. "Move it now," I demanded. She crossed her arms defiantly. "That driveway isn't really yours. It's a community road. HOA jurisdiction. You don't own it." I laughed, incredulous at her nerve. "Get out of there by noon tomorrow, or it won't be pretty." I turned on my heel, feeling her fury burning into my back. Later that evening, I noticed the car was gone. For a fleeting moment, I thought I had won. But the next day, I returned home to a shocking sight. My driveway had transformed into a trap. Sharp steel spikes, the kind used by police to stop high-speed chases, were bolted into the gravel. Glinting menacingly in the evening sun, I stormed to my mailbox, and sure enough, Karen had stuffed it full of official-looking notices, claiming unauthorized use of public property. According to her, my private driveway had been reclassified as community access. She was rewriting reality, and I knew I had to act. I documented everything, photos, videos, and every notice she had sent. Then I called my lawyer, Matt. When I showed him the evidence, he chuckled. "She's in over her head. This isn't just HOA nonsense. This is vandalism and property damage. We'll make her regret this." That evening, Karen received a very official letter delivered to her door, one that carried real weight. The next day, I came home to find her in my driveway, red-faced and struggling with a crowbar, trying to rip the spikes out of the ground. She muttered curses under her breath, refusing to look at me. But Karen wasn't finished. A few days later, I walked outside to find my truck missing. Panic surged through me as I checked the security camera feed. There she was, standing smugly beside a tow truck in the dead of night, watching as my vehicle was hauled away. That was the last straw. I called the sheriff and showed him the footage. Within the hour, a deputy arrived at my house. We tracked my truck to an impound lot, and when the tow operator saw the footage, his face went pale. "Take it, no charge," he said, fumble with the keys. He didn't want me tied to Karen's stunt for a second longer. With my truck back, the deputy and I drove straight to Karen's house. She opened the door with her usual smirk until I hit play on the video. Her face drained of color as she watched herself standing there, arms crossed, while my truck was dragged off. "Karen," the deputy said flatly, "you're under arrest for vehicle theft." She protested, ranting about HOA bylaws and claiming she had the authority. But it didn't matter. The cuffs clicked shut, and neighbors poured out of their homes, phones out, recording every second as the queen of the HOA was marched off to a squad car in disgrace. But just as I thought the situation was finally under control, I noticed something strange. A group of residents had gathered, whispering among themselves, their expressions a mix of shock and amusement. I could see Karen's husband, Tom, standing at the back, his face a mask of disbelief. Suddenly, a loud voice broke through the murmurs. "This isn't over, Karen." It was Mrs. Thompson, stepping forward with a determined look. "You've terrorized this neighborhood for too long." The crowd began to rally, their anger toward Karen bubbling to the surface. I could feel the tension in the air, a storm brewing as they remembered all the times she had bullied them. Just then, Karen's eyes narrowed and she shouted back, "You think this is going to change anything? I'll be back, and you'll all regret this." As she was led away, I realized that this was more than just a personal victory. It was a turning point for the entire neighborhood. The residents had finally found their voice, and Karen's reign of terror was coming to an end. But just as I was about to celebrate, I received a notification on my phone. It was a message from Matt, my lawyer. "We need to talk. I have some new information about Karen that could change everything." I felt a chill run down my spine. What could possibly be worse than what had just happened? As I read the message, my heart raced. "Meet me at the cafe in an hour. It's urgent." I glanced back at the crowd, still buzzing with excitement and disbelief over Karen's arrest. I knew I had to go, but a nagging feeling in my gut told me that this was far from over. Arriving at the cafe, I found Matt waiting for me, his expression serious. "I've been digging into Karen's background," he said, leaning in closer. "You won't believe what I found." I leaned forward, my curiosity piqued. "What is it?" Matt hesitated for a moment, then continued. "It turns out Karen has a history of legal issues. She's been involved in several lawsuits against previous neighbors. And there's something else." He pulled out a folder filled with documents and laid them on the table. "She's been using her position in the HOA to intimidate others. But there's more. She's been embezzling funds from the HOA budget." My jaw dropped. "Are you serious?" "Absolutely. If we can prove this, we can not only take her down, but also reclaim the money she's stolen from the community." Just then, my phone buzzed again. It was a news alert. Local HOA president arrested for vehicle theft and allegations of embezzlement. I looked up at Matt, my mind racing. This could change everything. "Exactly," he said, a determined glint in his eye. "But we need to act fast. If she finds out we're on to her, she might try to cover her tracks." As I sat there, the weight of the situation settled on my shoulders. This was no longer just about my driveway or my truck. It was about the entire community standing up against a tyrant. And just as I was about to formulate a plan, I heard a commotion outside the cafe. I rushed to the window and gasped. There was Karen, flanked by a group of her supporters, shouting and waving signs. "This isn't over," she screamed, her voice filled with rage. "You'll all pay for this." I turned to Matt, my heart pounding. "We need to do something. Now." And just like that, the stakes were raised, and I knew we were in for a fight that would determine the future of our neighborhood. Do you want to know the fate of the heroes? Please post part 2. Subscribe to the channel and continue watching. Your opinion and support are important to me. Leave it in the comments. Thank you.